Story about the Waito Bar is a customary story related to the settlement. This is the Waito River, and in 1856 when Hikoi and the 33 miserable remnants of the rangitane iwi met over there at a place called Kurahaupo, which was the Māori name for McDonald's Inn. They met with Donald McLean, who had finished ripping off Kahungunu and rangitane in the North Island, so he came to the South Island. And on the 1st of February 1856, they met over there at Kurahaupo, and they signed away all of their rights from the mouth of the Waito River across to the Arahuda. And so we got £100 for that. There were 33 of our tupuna's names, and that's why it's real cool. Pete's got the whakapapa here, because some of those people, they actually signed, their names are on that deed. And for you McDonalds that are here, well, you're in it as well, because your tupuna Teoti McDonald, brackets, a boy aged 3, he signed as well. And I'm not going to talk too much about that, because Pete will talk about that, but that was enough evidence for us to say to the Crown during the settlement process, come on, your own paperwork says that you came across there to see rangitane and get us to sign away. So they decided that they would give us a reserve over there as a part of the settlement. It's about 14 hectares, and it includes the 2 burial sites from when we repatriated the tupuna. We also have a deed of recognition over the whole of the lagoons area that was owned by the Crown. So we don't own that part over there because that's owned by the Marlborough District Council. But we've had ways of getting in there through the resource management process to assist them to do all different sorts of archaeological assessments. And then we also have a thing called a cultural overlay, which also goes over the top, and that requires rangitane to be consulted about anything that would change the standard of our traditions and associations with this area. So you can see out there that traditional yellow buoy, that's the marker where the sewer pipe comes out from over there, and that's also a very good eeling spot. So if you ask Weta Stafford, he'll tell you that's the best place to put hinaki. Thought I'd mention that just in case you're down there at Paridadu with Molly and they offer you some eels, some nice fat smoked eels. Just be careful to ask where they got them from. So that's the settlement aspect of what we received back from that. I think the other thing when Minister Finlayson came down here is when you look at this landscape right around us, you can see cloud and snow, but where we're standing in the middle, it's nice and fine and clear and warm. And what you're seeing here all the way up to the mountains up there, that's Kei Puta Te Waito. Lo and behold the Waito. That's what Kei Puta Te Waito is. Cool. So that's all I wanted to talk about here related to our settlement, because I didn't want to cross over into Pete talking about the whakapapa on the land, I think. Ka pai?
Yeah. So last year a number of our ladies had their DNA test taken at the New Zealand Archaeological Conference, and so people got their results back last year in November, and it confirmed that the living descendants, that there were living descendants of those people who were reinterred over onto Pokohiwi-a-Kupe. So that research was done using technology that traced our mitochondrial DNA. So it passes from the daughter to the grandmother, to the great-grandmother, to the great-grandmother, and so forth. So science has pretty much confirmed what we already did in practice. Okay, so right to land came through the woman. So we often hear about our male ancestors, and often we forget that it's actually through our female ancestors that we get all 10 toes embedded in the soil. So if you have a look at your whakapapa, you'll see a number of names there, and we're going to go to another place associated with one of these women, but you'll see a lady called Hinipango. Okay, and from here we're going to go to the wetland known as Hinipango. You'll see another woman by the name of Ruamate, and both these women married Tukowai. So we know about Tukowai because primarily because he had 3 wives. Okay, so from those 2 women come all of us. He also had another wife, and her name was Hinirefa, and Hinirefa had a daughter named Kuia. Okay, so it's pretty much you had the descendants of Tukowai and Hinirefa over in the Sounds, and the descendants of Hinipango and Ruamate were from here, spreading all the way down to the bottom of the South Island. So that Tukowai whakapapa goes all the way down to Ruapuki Island. So the guy they call Bloody Jack, Tuhawaiki, he's another Tukowai. Okay. So over in the lagoons there's an island called Morepo. So if you follow that tātai from Hinipango and Tukowai, you come down 3 generations and you'll see Morepo. Okay, that line there is the McDonald's. Okay, Tohunga, the middle sibling, they're the Waharuhis from Kaikoura at Mangamonu.
Oh, wow.
And then you have Kaupapa, who was Ihaia's great-great-grandfather. He was also the great-grandfather of a guy named Te Rua Onioni. Okay, and so he was the guy who died at Kōwhai Pā, just down the road. Okay, but the thing I think we should take out of this is that it's those female ancestors who tie us to this place primarily. The men were sort of just blowing in. Okay, and we often hear about this thing called the tuku of Tutaporangi. Those marriages were also tuku. Okay, those men came here and had marriages with our ladies, our women, and they were gifted land to settle on. Okay, so we have a long history of intermarriage and tuku whenua. Okay. Now, if you look through here, because this is the lady who I find most interesting, if you look behind us here through the 2 power poles, her name is Hine Ko Ariari. And Hine Ko Ariari is important because in the whakapapa books, it's through her that we get the longest association with this place. Okay, she married a guy, another fella who came into the area, whose name is Whetuau, and he is the ancestor on the other side. You can't see Whetuau at the moment, but yeah, so that's Hine Ko Ariari, and we have one of our nieces, cousins, who carries that name today. So that's Boogie's Piata, Boogie's niece. So she carries that name. Yep. How's that then? Good.
The only thing I wanted to carry on for that, for the benefit of our Ngāti Kuia and Ngāti Kuata relations, is to, if you go where those 2 kids, the one with the blue pants on, straight across there is a bit of a knob on the hill, and that's called Rahotea. And Rahotea is the place where our ancestor Huataki stood up there with his father-in-law, a man called Te Ao Mariri, and Te Ao Mariri's daughter was a woman called Wharepuka, and that place is called Rahotea, and it was part of a covenant between the new Rangitane arrivals and the people that were already there at the time. And the corridor of that Rahotea mean all of the land standing up on the top there, all of the land as far as the eye can see shall belong to our descendants. And Tutaporangi is a descendant of Te Ao Mariri. So I guess what I'm sort of doing, a cheeky opportunist corridor here, is to say that the tuku of Tutaporangi is actually a Rangitane tikanga. And we don't mind sharing it with Ngāti Kuata. Because when you're standing up there, you'll never guess what you can see from Rahotea. you can just see the tip of Waitakere. So that means that whakapapa from here stretches all the way around to there. Well, that's what I'm saying, because I know no one here will climb up the top to prove me wrong.
Well, as long as you can't see it from Waitakere all the way back.
Yes, I know you can't. So yeah, so we talked about that last night, the notion of tuku whenua, to bring people together, is a very old tikanga that started over here. That's how these people came from all the different islands. They weren't trading women, they were binding people together. Ka pai.
Cool.
Yeah. So